Hello everyone, and welcome to another really big podcast featuring me, Seb Gran.
Me, Ollie Johnson.
And me, Sam Congrave.
I've got a bit of news for you. I want to see what everyone thinks about this because it's been grabbing all the headlines. Apparently, there's been some naked pictures of Kate Middleton circling around, and they've been in a French newspaper, an Irish newspaper. So, what do you think about all this?
Really? This is news?
Well, Greece hasn't had any problems recently, so it's no longer news.
This is news. The royal family, whom people only gave a damn about when the royal wedding happened, only because they got a day off. This is something important. How? It's just Kate Middleton. Are they trying to say, oh, these royal people, they have nipples like us?
Yeah, I think they just presumed they were reptiles.
Wait a minute. They're people like us? Then why are we even listening to them? Revolt!
Well, a lot of people are revolting.
Well, yes.
And I'm looking at two of them right now.
And they're looking back as another.
Yes, I mean, that's something we all have in common. We're repulsive.
Thank you, Rita.
Oh, I knew you'd say speak for yourself. I can read you like a book. Alright, now let's see if this tickles your fancy a bit more for news. Apparently, a winning lottery ticket worth $22.5 million in New Zealand was ripped up by the person who won it. So what do you think about how he just ripped up his money?
Why would he do that?
Apparently he didn't want his life to change, so, you know, he...
Oh, for God's sake.
Why did he enter?
Why didn't he just give it to charity?
Why did he even enter the lottery if he didn't want to win it?
If his intention was to win and then rip it up, imagine how many tickets he's bought at this point and gone, I may have spent, the amount of money I've just won, got into bankruptcy and everything to buy all these tickets, but at least I've made my point clear. If only my wife was alive to see this.
But, I mean, lottery money's worth a lot to anyone, which brings a point. Countries like Ethiopia, money is worth a lot more to them. Why not just send them a tenner and set up a lottery for them? It's very easy for us to send them, like £10 at a time, so why don't they all just have lots of lotteries and jackpots?
I'm given to understand Africa's governed by somewhat corrupt people.
Well, not all of Africa. I mean, you can't let them all... They're not all like Robert Mugabe. It'd be hilarious if they were, though.
I was basically told, in no uncertain terms, that Africa was governed by very corrupt people.
What, like the whole thing?
I resolved never to give money to charities for Africa because it wouldn't go to the suffering people.
Asia alright?
Asia?
That continent, the big one.
Yeah, I know what Asia is. What about Asia?
Well, is it alright to give, money to them, or...
No.
Well, I'm not...
Are you just trying to come up with excuses not to give any of your money away?
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't give money to an African charity, but at the time when I was told that Africa was ran by very corrupt people, I was convinced that if I did give money...
So you were thinking, I don't want to give any money, they don't deserve money, we're all in a bit of a happy place here.
No, I was thinking if I did give money to charity, I was about 12 at the time, by the way, that it would end up in the hands of the government officials who wouldn't give it to the people I was trying to get it to anyway.
Oh. Okay, a bit of more news. I'm not sure how exactly to say this. Mummy's boy killer... Whales bring on menopause.
What?
Wait, let me try to read that again. Mummy's boy killer whales bring on menopause. Oh, right, I see. They found out why whales have the longest menopause of all species. Why do you think it is?
Why are we even talking about this, really?
No one's been assassinated. Nothing bad's happened to the government for a while.
So what you're saying is, nothing has happened in the world, so now we're going to the basic of things, like... This baked bean moved 3 inches yesterday. We're literally digging at the bottom where we're actually talking about the menopause. No one wants to talk about anyway, to do with whales, really?
But can we have some guesses?
Because they're violent to begin with, I don't know.
If I had to guess, I'd say their immense size constitutes a longer lifespan and hence, a longer menopause.
Well, they need a longer lifespan because apparently they're the most maternalistic of all animals and they like to look after their children when they're, growing up.
Polar opposite of our species.
Exactly, yeah.
But once you're 16 and out of the house, you're on your own.
You have to borrow money from your parents at a 400% interest rate. That just sums up him and his family.
Well...
No, it's been lowered to 300. They realise it's hard times and that, you're suffering.
Okay. Move on now.
I'm wondering, guys, what's the worst pranks that you've ever had played on you or played on someone else? Ollie, you first.
God, I can tell you some stories.
Yeah.
I was only 5 or 6 at the time. I was at my dad's house. I went downstairs early in the morning. Me and my brother had this terrible...
Wait, you went downstairs?
Yes.
Wow.
My brother and I went downstairs early in the morning, and my brother pointed out to me that a can of Coke on the floor. I crawled over to the can. I picked it up.
Yeah, you just trusted him.
I was 6. I crawled over to the can, I picked it up, shook it about, it was still about half full.
Or half empty, depending on your political
So I
sense.
drank from it, and upon the taste I hastily spat out the liquid. I didn't know what it was. My brother looked in it and pointed it out that it was piss. I don't know how it got in there. Maybe Dad was drunk the previous night, or maybe
I should hope so!
or maybe my brother just, I don't know, had a crafty whiz in the can and then pointed it out to me. I have no idea. But
didn't you think it was a bit odd? Oh look, there's a can of Coke on the floor, why don't you drink it?
well, he didn't say why don't you drink it. He just said there's a can of Coke on the floor, and I went.
Yeah, he just likes pointing things out like that. There's a can of Coke on the floor. There's a book on the shelf.
6.
You can't use that excuse throughout your life. You're going to have stands on your own 2 feet one of these days. Metaphorically. Sorry, that was mean. Well, it's ambiguous as to whether that's a prank or not.
Oh, if you want a prank.
Okay.
Again, my brother.
Oh, great.
Did you ever see any of those brown bars of soap?
I think I know the ones you mean. They're sort of weird.
Yeah, the big square ones. Well, my brother came into my room with one at one point and told me it was chocolate. This was before the piss incident, I think.
What, you drank piss, you ate a bar of soap, how are you alive?
I don't know. Which leads me to a story my mother tells me. Apparently, when I was 2, or around that age, I don't know, when I was a toddler, I had somehow got into a padlocked cupboard and drank some industrial strength bleach.
How did you survive?
I-
You're like invincible.
I have no idea. I swear all this is true. At least my mum tells me
Your
that I drank
childhood is
industrial
so
strength.
tragic. You're like a Dickens character,
I mean-
isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, my brother sort of, convinced me to bite into an Ariel liquid tab at one point. I had the taste of detergent in my mouth for weeks.
I can't believe you're still functioning.
Yeah, he told me that, you know those cans of, spray, that candy spray? He told me that it was that stuff in a little plastic bag. And that he'd already eaten a couple. So I bit into it. It was an Ariel liquid tab. I had the taste in my mouth for I don't even know how long.
Hey, Ollie, eat this pencil. It's made of bread.
Really?
No, we're doing pranks now.
Yes, Sam, do you have any fun pranks?
Well,
Boy,
it
do
depends
you.
on if they're fun. It depends. Some of them may be considered me being a dick. I'll start off with this one. Once, my dog was very, very ill, and my dad kept, wanting to have it put down.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very happy about him doing that because I loved that dog. And it shit all over his car.
Oh.
Now, what I did was, while he was taking the dog out, I kind of removed the things in front with the fans and put shit in there.
So the shit quite literally hit the fan?
No, it basically blew the air towards you. So what I did was I put a bit of shit in all of them and then aimed them towards where my dad was. So when he was trying to air out the smell of shit while he was driving, it blew the smell into his face. And I remember to this day him literally going on and going, ah! Large, waft of shit on his face. He screamed as loud as he could as this was happening.
I'm so lucky to be an only child, I really am.
Oh, you have no idea.
Ollie, we should probably do a whole episode about your childhood one day. But this one, I'm afraid it's also a bit of a confession, which is a great start to any anecdote.
Are you gay?
No comment. Anyway, this one is quite an awful one. It was April Fool's, and I was with Pete. This was when we were at college together.
I know the one.
Yeah, sorry about this. Anyway, I don't know why I thought this would be a great idea. I thought it would be hilarious if I went up to Pete with a straight face because you weren't here yet.
Yeah, I was late to school that day.
Yes, and I said, well, I've got some bad news, Pete. I'm afraid Ollie this morning, he died in a car crash.
You bastard!
I know, I don't know why I thought it'd be hilarious, but Pete, he just went silent and blank for a moment, and I could tell he was close to tears, and I was thinking, should I stay with the bit? Or should I just give up now and...
What if I'd gone through the door at that moment?
You probably would have thought he was haunted. Oh, so sorry. This is awful. To cut a long story short...
You told Pete I died.
No, I just admitted what I did and, he just said, you bastard.
You should have waited until Ollie came through the door. And then
Part of me wanted to.
I'd watch him go, ah! Zombie! And then watch Pete jump out the window and run away.
Part of me wanted to.
In fairness, we weren't there. I mean, what was Pete's face like?
Distraught. I'd never seen him so sad, actually, so, that means he does care about you.
Well, that's nice to know.
You know that Queen song, Flash?
Ah!
Yeah, that one. Where he goes, ah.
Yeah.
I wonder if someone stepped on his toe at the time and, they just thought, it sounds good, why don't we keep it in the song?
No, it's Freddie, I swear.
What if he saw a mouse?
Keep it in.
Yeah, and he was afraid
Flash! Oh! Save every one of us!
Sam, I've got some letters for you.
Oh joy, I've been missing these.
It's another regular feature we do. Pretty much we just read Sam the letters that we're too embarrassed to answer ourselves.
Ah, yes. Go on.
Edward from Newcastle writes, I've just started dating again, and I'm due to meet her later tonight. Should I mention the fact that I'm a 400-year-old witch trapped in a man's body now, or wait until we've had our first child?
Well,
he's asking for your advice. It's better be good.
Well, that is a very good question, and if you've managed to live that long here, you've obviously got some magic there. So
it's a kind of magic.
Sit there with her. Take her to a meal or something. Confess to her there, and if she doesn't like it, brainwash her. That way you'll have a happy marriage because she'll never nag, and you won't have to worry about her judging you because she'll have no mind of her own.
Can't argue with that, can you?
Of course not.
Mr. Macmillan from Ross writes, if Seb and Ollie get stupider in each episode, does that mean that everybody else gets smarter?
No, it means the rest of you get stupid as well.
Well,
because you're still listening to this, it just means I get smarter.
You would have thought that empiricism would have meant this show wouldn't be good after about 6 or 7 episodes. Mrs. Bullock from Bodmin writes, if Paul McCartney is the walrus and Craig Bush is the Lion Man, then what does that make you and all of the panellists?
It makes me the dragon, him the wolf,
Points to me.
and makes Seb the worm.
The worm?
Well, I was going to say Stokes, but
I'm going to say worm because at least he can claim to have been popular during the 90s.
Earthworm Jim reference.
I'm going to say mainly the dance move as well, but it works on multiple levels.
Well, thank you, Ollie, for at least comparing me to a mammal. We've got, of course, our regular guest on the show. The great man. Complicated man he is. And no one understands him like his woman. I don't know, I try not to intrude too much into his life.
Don't go over to one of his meals. He likes to talk about his lyrics while you're eating.
Yes, it puts you off when he's talking about how living in a box is about incest.
Yeah, that is terrible to eat, especially when I'm eating, twin lobsters.
Were they rock lobsters? Over to you, Professor. Hello. I am sorry if I sound a bit flustered today. I have just been explaining to a group of students why Suspicious Minds by Elvis could not possibly have been a critique of the Bush administration. I had to explain that Elvis Presley is a strong Republican and would never have undermined the Bush administration. Anyway, today I have decided to analyse a more cerebral band, the Spin Doctors. No doubt, as men of science, they will have composed a piece of music with great intellectual talent and of great taste. In their tale of Two Princes, firstly, The title perhaps hints to the tale being a bold attempt at a changing conceptions and opinions on homosexuality. Although the song does immediately refer to the two princes kneeling before a desirable third party, perhaps hinting at a love triangle, the strongest shape in nature except for the hexagon. Those are tougher than steel. But I digress. It is unfortunate that the song soon takes an unfortunate turn towards depravity, as it refers to one of the princes having diamonds in his pockets, which is clearly an unfortunate euphemism for his male genitalia being well endowed, as comparing his penis to a diamond may be a reference to it being metaphorically able to cut through glass. The singer compliments the prince on his large diamond in his pockets by referring to it as some bread. The prince also, according to the song, wishes to buy the third party rockets, which must be a metaphor for contraception. The raunchiness of this filthy and morally corrupt lyric continues to my horror, with thinly veiled references to having a princely racket, which is obviously a reference to being sexually aroused, eating one's hat, perhaps referring to the act of cunnilingus, and kneeling before you, as well as it not being in his head. Both of the above, no doubt, a vulgar reference to fellation. It gets even more cringeworthy, as one of the princes shares that he has no family tree, which is a sad metaphor for erectile dysfunction. I must stop there, as I am utterly shocked that apparent doctors of spin could come up with such unrefined deviance. Now please excuse me, I must go wash the taste of decadence from my mouth.
Thank you, Professor Lirrick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm never going to listen to the Spin Doctors again.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't trust Peter Mandelson and his like, should we?
Not really. His kind aren't welcome here.
Definitely not. By that we mean spin doctors. That signals the end of the show. Thank you everybody for listening. So from me, Ollie and Sam,
Bye.
Bye.
bye.